What I would really love to talk about today is the current circumstances that are happening at a global scale in terms of the political landscape and the leadership landscape, and just how much this is affecting us as HSPs. I'd like to talk about why that is. The predominant reason for this is because of our relationship with truth. Let's dive in.
Inluminance specializes in developing sensory processing sensitivity, a natural high sensory intelligence present in 30% of the population, co-creating with the power of humanity to consciously evolve towards balance.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Inluminance podcast with me, your host, Willow McIntosh. Over the period that I have been working with and training HSPs, our ability to be able to feel the truth of what is happening in the world around us is profound. It is an ability that comes from our ability to be able to process sensory information more deeply, our ability to feel what we feel around us, our high levels of empathy, our high levels of intuition. This creates a very important role that we are here to be fulfilling in the world as HSPs. Now, a lot of the reason why we feel the level to which the world is being run poorly at the moment is because of our ability to see through into the deeper fabric of life. We are able to feel the natural world around us at a deeper level. We are able to feel our relationship with the world around us at a deeper level. We are able to understand what it means to be in partnership with the world in terms of peace and balance. We are also very attuned to whether people are living in alignment with themselves and whether we are living in alignment with the greater good of humanity. Now, that all sounds grand, and you may be listening to this thinking, well, I can relate to some of that, but I'm not sure I can do it to that kind of degree or to that kind of scale. Now, that doesn't matter. The important piece here is that each of us has an area of life that we are most fascinated by, an area of life that we feel most competent in. Unfortunately, much of the time, what happens for us as HSPs is we're not fully in ownership of that. We're not really diving into and exploring our high sensory gifts and our high sensory abilities. And that tends to mean that, unfortunately, we try to live life like everybody else does, and we're not really honing and tuning into the intricacies of our gifts that allow us to read the world at the deeper level in this way. And unfortunately, that means that we very rarely speak up and take action in the areas of life that we actually feel most called to. So unfortunately, again, what this means is we have a very important resource in the world. So 25%, 30% is some of the research that I'm hearing at the moment. Between 25 and 30% of the population has this ability to be able to see the world in a way that helps us understand what truth means at the deeper level. We are not utilizing that resource enough. So it means that so many of us as HSPs are standing back at the moment, watching what's happening in the world, and it's driving us absolutely crazy. And what that means is we tend to then fall into worry rather than recognizing that it is actually our responsibility as HSPs to start to make a difference in a way where we can begin to change the landscape of what's happening in the world. There are a lot of us as HSPs, and I'm not saying that this means that we have to rise up and into protest. What I mean is that this is our opportunity and our responsibility to rise up with love and peace and balance. The way that we can do that is by trusting our perspective. It's by trusting what we're actually seeing happening in the world around us. Now, there are some of us, such as the great leaders and influencers that have gone before us, the great HSPs such as Abraham Lincoln, Princess Diana, Thomas Edison, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King. These people made big changes in the world because they took action in alignment with their area of expertise, and they created a movement that created change. So there are other HSPs currently with us right now that have the capacity and the competence and the calling to make changes at that level. And there are many of them that are doing that work. However, where you come into this is that you may well be aspiring to make big changes at the global level. And my goodness me, you 100% need to be doing that work and getting the support around you to make that change. Wherever you are in your journey, whoever you may be, wherever you are in the world, as an HSP, you have a particular role to play. So what I want to do in this episode is help to empower you to understand that you are here to make a difference in the way that you are intended to make a difference. When I've been working and training the HSPs that I have over the years, and when I use the word training, what I mean is helping HSPs to understand their natural gift and how they can use it in service in the world that aligns most with them. And the majority of the time, that's training people to become specialists, facilitators, coaches, who then want to go and train and heal and facilitate and create transformation in their ideal clients, which are typically versions of themselves. All the way through that period of time, and having now trained and worked with more than 350 HSPs over this period of time, in every single case, what I see is an area of interest in the world that has always been there ever since they were a child. Is the same for me. And within that experience, within the higher sensory experience of who we are as an HSP, there is an ability to actually facilitate change in that area of life that has been most interesting and also most challenging, which is how we get trained in our area of expertise. This means that in all of these cases, it's not simply because it takes time to do this, but it is simple in terms of how it works. In every single case, what's happening is I'm helping the HSP to understand that their deeper cognitive processing ability actually empowers them to be able to create change and transformation in an area of life that really matters to them. And within that process, it all boils down to the relationship with truth. And the relationship with truth in this way means an ability to be able to feel and read what the truth that is actually occurring in a person in front of them or in the circumstances within the environment that they're working in. Truth has a resonance to it. It has an energetic resonance. We can feel the truth. When we're talking to people, we can feel the truth of circumstances around us. There is a reality in terms of our relationship with truth. So you have an opportunity to start to explore and become curious and build relationship with what this is in you. You will know at an intuitive level that there is a part of life that has always fascinated you. There's a part of life that has challenged you and called you. It's an area of life that you will see an imbalance in. This could be anything. It could be to do with healthcare, medicine, well-being, personal development, finances, personal evolution. There is a particular area that you've always been interested in. And this is an opportunity to step back and think to yourself for a moment, hang on a minute, there is actually something that I really care about in the world. And the good news is that you're actually designed to help that area of life. And this can be at any scale. So it can be just in your own community. It might mean, volunteering somewhere in your community in an area that you feel called to want to serve in. By doing that, you will see that your high level of intuition, empathy, and processing ability actually supports that area. And it's the way that nature has intended this trait to run. So it's been with us ever since early man. In early man, it would be the HSPs in the tribe or the community that would suddenly feel or sense that there is something going on. They would notice subtle changes, signs in the immediate environment in order to recognize that there's a family of saber-toothed tigers in the canyon beyond, right? Or that as we're moving around in our tribe and community, the HSPs start to get a sense that this is a healthy area for us to settle because of the natural vegetation, because of the flora and fauna that's here, and we communicate that. This was our partnership that helps to promote the survival and evolution of humanity. That's how it began. The trait has been with us all this time, right the way up until where we are right now, and it's still a part of the human genome. The nature brings this in to 1 in every 3 or 4 people, research still to be confirmed, but it's definitely at least 1 in 5. It's always been 20%. Now it's moving to 25, and we think it's moving closer to 30. I don't think it's going to get more than that because we have to have the balance, or maybe it's going to go 50-50. That would be interesting. But we have to have the balance of HSPs and non-HSPs. We're supposed to be in partnership. In the animal kingdom, we observe in 100 species of animals how animals do the same thing. The HSPs support the community and the tribe because they're using their higher sensory ability to support the welfare, survival, and evolution of the communities and tribes around them. As HSPs, we have always been known as the spiritual leaders, the royal advisors, the facilitators, the coaches, the consultants. We're very, very good at reading into the deeper fabric of what is occurring and then communicating that information in a way that actually helps the people, the project, the tribe, the movement, humanity in a way that it needs to. So your gift is intended. You're supposed to be seeing things different. You are neurodivergent. You're literally wired differently in order to be able to see things and process things in a different way. You have a relationship with the deeper fabric of life, which gives you this relationship with truth that comes with the responsibility. And that responsibility is to develop that ability and to be able to share what you're seeing and sensing with the people around you in that area of life that most intrigues you. So nature gives you that area of competence, a natural area of competence in a particular area of life for your gift to process more deeply and see more deeply, so you can add the value of the depth of your perception in that area of life. This is how we help as HSPs. As an HSP, this is how you help the problems with the current landscape in the world. It doesn't mean to say that you have to go and protest and try to make big changes at the leadership level. If that is not your calling and not your area of competence, that's not where you're supposed to be. However, your role may well be helping education to make changes to support critical thinking, to help children to become more independent and closer to their true purpose and their true competence, in order to create more aligned, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically balanced children that then come into the world and actually start to make a difference. So that may well be where your area of responsibility is. And you'll know that in your heart. You'll know that you feel called to want to make a difference in education. Maybe you've been a teacher for 20 years and you've absolutely had enough of seeing how the education system is not working. This is how you can make a difference. If it's well-being, if you're aware that obesity can be solved through diet and through changing the narratives, how we've recently found out that the food pyramid was a scam in order to support the arable farming profits. So, you may well have been in healthcare or, working in nutrition for a long period of time, and you've known this all along. Well, this is how you can start to make a difference, by recognizing that your natural high sensory intelligence and levels of perception are allowing you to read the energetic truth of a person in front of you who may well be very unwell due to diet. And you've always known that. You can feel that. So all of those people I've trained over the years, they have the ability to feel the energetic resonance of truth. They feel the energetic resonance of a person that's actually in healthy alignment with their body, and when someone isn't. You have the ability to feel that. I've seen it in every single person I've trained. I have this ability. You have a version of this ability. So this is how you can start to make a difference. And if you think about it, if all of us as HSPs actually came into ownership of our ability, or we first were willing to own the fact that we can see into the world more deeply, that we do actually care about humanity, about ecology at a very deep level, because we can feel the imbalance. If we actually started to come forwards and we started to activate and align in the area of life that really mattered to us, we would have all of these pockets of light, all of these pockets of higher awareness coming into all of the various different categories of life, so that we can actually start to make a difference, so that we can actually start to share our perspective and share what we're feeling, to help humanity move forwards in this area. It doesn't mean to say, and I'll say it again, it doesn't mean to say that we're better than non-HSPs. That's not what nature's saying. We're supposed to be in partnership. We're supposed to be the person that can feel in the room and sense that the saber-toothed tiger in the canyon above, in the canyon above or the canyon beyond, is actually a path that an organization or a company might be moving towards to its detriment. We can feel this as HSPs. We have this resource in all of the organizations all over the world. HSPs are constantly talking to me about what they can see in the workplace and how much they wish that their voice could be heard. It is our responsibility to get our voice to be heard. We have to learn how to communicate in the right way, where non-HSPs understand the benefit of our perspective and how that can be utilized in partnership to help move that organization to change track and head over there, away from the canyon with the saber-toothed tiger, in whatever metaphorically that means for that organization. So we're starting to make the difference. And if you imagine that we all came forward and we all started to really own the fact of what we can see and feel and sense and how deeply we care, we will start to make a difference at a global scale that will have some really phenomenal impact. So this is for you. This is a message for you. If you're feeling despondent, if you're feeling terrified right now because of what's happening around the world, politically and in leadership, and how that might affect you, my invitation is not to despair and not to see the trait of being an HSP as a disadvantage, as labeling it as sensitive, I'm different, I'm overwhelmed, I'm depressed. If that's happening for you, it's because you're identifying with the wrong side of the trait. In order for us to be able to see truth and to feel and perceive in the way that we do, it means that our sensorium, our ability to process the world around us, needs to be operating at a higher sensitivity in order to read energetically and see and feel what we're seeing. That is the use of our sensitivity. That's what nature intended it to be. If we're ignoring that ability, we're ignoring those advantages, and we're just identifying with the fact that, oh, I'm more sensitive, you are really doing yourself a disservice. And you're really doing the world a disservice. And that's why we fall into depression if we're identifying with the victim within us. Nature doesn't, that's not who we are. That's why we feel depressed, is because we're identifying with something that is not true within us. So this is an invitation to honor your sensitivity, not to drive and push yourself headlong into action that is not thought through and is not aligned for you. This is about moving forwards in self-love and self-recognition with the understanding of the value of who you are and the understanding of the value of your perception. And to remember that every single one of us is invaluable. You can't put a value on any human being. We are all hugely important because of the area of expertise that life has given us, that natural area of competence. That's the role that we're meant to be playing. That's the light that we're meant to be switching on within us to raise frequency in the life, in the communities, in our families, in the people around us. And we have to be careful as to where we're meant to be doing that. Maybe it's not supposed to be in our families. Maybe it's not supposed to be in our local communities. Sometimes we have to get very honest about where our gift is needed, where we can be heard, where we can be understood in order for our value to be recognized and actualized. So what I would love to do is, if this is resonating for you and you're starting to think, okay, enough is enough, I actually really want to start playing my part. This is my greatest wish for us as HSPs, is that we do start to step forwards. So if this is resonating for you and you really feel like you want to do something about this to support yourself, please write into the comments below, yes, please, I'd love to know more about this. What we can then do is send you some information to help you take the next steps in getting among the right people in order to be able to start having the conversation that you really need to support this ownership of your gift and abilities, and to understand how you can start to make a difference in the way that resonates most for you. Thank you so much for listening. I really look forward to seeing you next time. Please do share this if this is helpful for you. It really helps to grow the algorithm so more HSPs can get the support that they need. If you're listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, then please do leave a review if this is helping you. Again, that really helps to grow the awareness and the reach, so more HSPs can get the support that they need. If you are listening to this as a podcast rather than on YouTube, then simply send an email to support@inluminance.com, and please check the spelling of that in the description. It's not spelt in the normal way. If you send an email to support@Inluminance and say, yes, please, I'd love some help with this, with the title of this podcast so we know which podcast episode you're talking about, we will get some information over to you to support you in taking next steps. Thank you again for your help, for your support, and for being who you are. This is time now for us as HSPs to really come forwards and to start to make the difference that nature has intended for us. See you next time.